Hi everyone, welcome. I'm here with Angela Hayes today and we're going to talk about the medicine of slow. Now the reason that we're doing that is because Angela is part of our Invoke Your Clients Magic, the coach training, the soul-based coach training. And this was part of what she was sharing with our group. You're like 3/4 on the way, aren't you? About what is unfolding for you at the moment. And this is one of the things that happen in this training, is that everybody gets to be on their own personal journey. It's like the next thing, the next peeling of the, whatever the layers of the onion or whatever metaphor we're going to use for that. And this is what is coming up for you. And it just really resonates for me. So I thought, well, yeah, why not have a conversation about the wisdom that we start to access in that way. Do you want to dive in, Angela? Just kind of what's alive in it, around it for you right now?
Yeah, I mean, just as you speak, it kind of got me thinking about the beginning of my journey with Invoke and how I was moving along in my life, and this popped up into my peripheral vision almost, and I caught it, and I had to really slow down to make a decision about it. So that was, in a way, that slowness came in right at the beginning for me. It's like a seed that got planted. And I don't know if you remember, but I had a conversation, which was so helpful. I had a conversation with you before I took the plunge. That again was an encouragement of slowness, to really consider what my relationship was with Invoke and how so I think right from the word go, I laid a seed, or we laid a seed, to allow slowness to take place. And that has been inordinately helpful to me, because I otherwise would have missed things that were important to me. So for example, I would have missed that maybe I had a habit of doing lots of learning in my life. And maybe there was a pattern to why I took lots of learning in my life. And this time I slowed down and had a little ritual about just doing this learning from a different footing. And that slowing down enabled me to come in a different way.
I remember that now. I'd forgotten about the ritual. I'd remembered the conversation. Yeah. It's so beautiful because, yeah, what part of your question as we were having the conversation was about, is this just me repeating this pattern, or I need to learn more? And so, yeah, we came to that, like, what if you did a ritual? And wasn't it, there was a drawing a line in the sand, wasn't there?
Yeah, it's in the woods, and I kind of made it, it's just so beautiful. And also easy. It was easy. It was an easy thing to do, a natural thing to do, to create a boundary that I stepped over into a new pattern.
Yeah.
And I really wouldn't have done that if I hadn't been given myself, and you hadn't given me permission, and the work hadn't given me permission to slow down.
Yeah, beautiful. And I think this is often, one of the things that we do when we help people make a decision. It's to really honor all the parts that are part of making that decision, without there being any kind of expectation about what the next step would be, right? You didn't enter the ritual so that you could enter Invoke, right? It was let's really step forward into a new pattern and then check in with what is aligned for me. Yeah, that was a really beautiful thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's absolutely it. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so beautiful that slow is very countercultural, right? Like everything that happens out there, I'm looking at the window, like it's better if it's fast, right? We want instant gratification. We want all the things right now, and it needs to this and that. And I've lived a big part of my life like that, right? All the to-dos, all the, how many hours in a day, doing all the things for all business and my family and myself and And then the reason why the topic was resonating in me was this finding myself on in perimenopause, and hormonal shifts really changing my inner temperatures. And I'm not talking hot flashes actually, because I don't get those, but like the way in which I'm present with myself is very different. I'm just noticing that there's more fuzziness in my brain, for example, right? There's a lot less sleep. So actually it takes, it's almost as if it's an invitation for me to become more present in the moment and let go of all that fast busyness, and kind of bring me back into each moment. And it can be super annoying when I try and live life the way I used to. But at the same time, I can really feel that it also holds this gift inside of it.
Absolutely. I think this is where we were when we were talking the other day, and I think, and it was really interesting how this came up as well. For me, it was really interesting because I think we have a great check-in process, and I think anything for you, Angela. And I was like, because nothing was here, and I said, no, I don't think so. And then it was like, I thought, oh, actually, if I give it a moment, there is something, and I kind of looked behind me, and here was this conversation behind me was this conversation about actually there's a new way of being. And it's what you just described. It's like having lived a life where I have a very quick brain. I'm picking things up, I've always been able to pick things up very fast. I'm on it. That's kind of left me. It's like it is slightly behind me now, and I have to wait and bring it forward and say, oh, what is this? And often with not super clear thoughts. So it's a real change for me that I'd be dishonest if I say I haven't fought it along the way. I have, because and I've had to, I've I kind of, the more I sink into this, the more I feel the wisdom of it, the sinking into oh, I'm not quite sure yet. Hang on a minute. Oh yeah, it's here, it's this. And there's something in this where I get newness, freshness, insight, that was previously unknown to me or unused, or something that's maybe been bypassed.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. So I think, maybe from that perspective, women have an advantage at this stage in life. But also I very much recognize it in the process of soul-based coaching, where so often we live life from our minds and our thoughts are quick, and we keep forgetting how many thousands of thoughts we have in a day. I think 60,000 or something ridiculous like that. And we're so used to running our lives collectively from that place. And so with this process of coaching, we really help people connect to these deeper layers, right, which live in the body, which speak through us in different modalities, and to really help people pay attention to all these different parts of themselves that have wisdom to share. And it feels like why it was so resonating when we got into that conversation in the deep reef during the training, is that there is so much wisdom when we allow that slowing down, and we know where to go.
Yeah, and I think the key for me and has been to trust in that, because I might have had patterns in the past where I've actually overridden those things, to get the, to get this kind of energy, to get it done, to roll up the sleeves, to get it done, to be on there. Yeah. And I honor those parts of me too, of course. They're really helpful. They have been really helpful in my life. So I think what I'm I find myself in menopause that as well, that there's it's learning how to be and to work in this rhythm. And you're right, it is countercultural, and yet there is so many gifts in it. There is a different intuition, a different body knowing. There's a lot of honesty, I think, a lot of really getting to know yourself and others. That is such a gift for the times we're in.
Yeah, I agree. And that honesty, so what you're saying about how you've been fighting it. I've never fought anything in my life, right? Certainly not that. But there is this, when we can really start to lean into it, then I feel like almost like we're falling through this trap door where there is so much more ease and leaning back and allowing and inviting, like all of these feminine paradigm qualities are so much more accessible without that being dependent on being a woman or whatever age you are. But touching on that slowness, but it takes courage, doesn't it? Because you have to become honest, and you can't, like, being busy is such a great way of ignoring the things that are going on for many people. So it really takes courage to go and be that honest with ourselves, and to actually allow that knowing to come forward.
Absolutely, yeah. I think I was thinking about this morning, about how really, again, how the two go together for me, honesty and slowness, and again how much there is in getting honest. And I think, again, I would so for me it's meant that it's almost like slow honesty, acceptance, and that is such a treasure. It is so incredibly precious to have that process. It's like I feel it now. It's like I feel, as I speak of it, it's like something in me really relaxes and expands, and there's more, paradoxically, more of me on offer when I do that.
I feel it too. I think probably if you're watching, you can feel this too. There's it's just thinking about, kind of, I'm always also thinking about what does that mean from a coaching perspective, right? And it could sound very scary for people to think about coaching that slows things down, right? Because aren't we supposed to get clients' results, kind of like, and it makes me think of one of my coaches, one of my business coaches actually, who said that it was important to slow down to be able to speed up. And that to me speaks about the wisdom of slowing down. The only thing about it is that it is in service of speeding up. And we might not always want that to happen, but that is one desired outcome, which was very, very front and center for her. But slowing down and being able to be with what is present is a really powerful way of bringing, like, calling in what you want in your life.
I do see that it sometimes is in partnership with speeding up. I do see that, it's because when we or my experience is like when I've slowed down and I've seen something, maybe for the first time, that is like magic to me, it's so useful to me, or then there is that wow almost, and then I can move. I can move in a different way.
Yeah. Oh,
Like,
absolutely. Yeah.
so where I might have previously been a bit stuck and half seen something, now I can move.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like when we're slowing down in soul-based coaching in this way, it doesn't mean that results take longer. Like that, it isn't. We need to cut the meat. Like these are not related, actually. And I think what you were saying is exactly why. It's like when the system can slow down enough to have an honest look at itself, and to start leaning into acceptance, and to start looking into okay, so what wants to be heard and seen, and how, what do I want to shift within this, then all of a sudden the system can reorganize itself and just get ready to do that thing. But that thing is then so much easier. So anyone who's tried to maybe, I don't know, any entrepreneurs listening, any coaches, like if you've ever tried to write a newsletter to the people that you want to stay connected to, sometimes, my brain can go, ooh, it needs to happen. Ooh, let's see what we can, and it can take like 4 hours. But when I've slowed down, when I've allowed myself a beautiful, gorgeous forest walk, just because, having a nice cup of tea, then all of a sudden there's this idea, like this seed coming up, and then it's like written in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's like all that time that I spent being busy with being fast.
I was laughing then, because I thought, oh, you've seen me in my 4 hours trying to write something. You know me.
Yeah, I was just talking about you, Angela.
I know.
I'm sure nobody who's ever tried to do any kind of creative kind of work will recognize that, or even any kind of work, really.
Yeah, and I think that's also some of the richest learning for me is like how I work. It's like how I have a pattern of work in my life that really sustains me and nourishes me. So bringing this consciousness of slowness in is essential for me. I wouldn't be that functional without this awareness or this consciousness. Because I don't always have I'm not always full with lots of energy. I'm not always so actually I'm careful how I'm saying this, because it's like because it's not a compensation.
No, yeah, exactly.
So I'm careful about saying this. So it's not a compensation. It's quite the opposite. It's like it's helped me lean into something that's incredibly rich for everybody, even if you have energy that's full. But, but that's maybe how I came to learning it.
Yeah, beautiful.
Maybe that's the best way of saying it.
Yeah, beautiful. I was listening to it and I was just realizing, because like it's so easy to put this in like a capitalist viewpoint, whereas you're only as valuable as the output that you're generating, and so you ought to have full energy and you ought to be quick, or all the other things. And really what we're talking about is actually that we're entering into a whole other way of being, where that is no longer the norm, but that really supports us in our ability to contribute. Am I speaking for you too?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's something of me as an activist that doesn't also, I want to join in a different way. I consciously want to join in with everybody in a different way. So and that's a conscious choice for me too, in terms of how I step in, and what my activism looks like. And so that's very much part of it for me too.
Beautiful. Do you want to quickly say something about your activism before we wrap up?
Well, I think it's easy, you know, we live in such a strong paradigm of patriarchy, capitalism, imperialism, that it's that slowing down also brings a level of consciousness into how I step into that, how I choose to live in it, I suppose, how I make choices, how I don't necessarily just go along with the forward wind of it. It just, you know, moves me. I'm privileged in many ways, and so the wind is at my back, and it's so how I step in. And it's maybe a whole other subject for us, but
it is a whole new conversation, and it is very much related. So thank you for presencing it here as well. Yeah, thank you. And everyone watching, yeah, we hope that slowness is something that you're curious about too, and that you get to, you know, that nourishes you as well. So yeah, we'd love to hear your thoughts and questions, responses, and shares. Thank you so much, Angela, for sharing this.
Thanks for the conversation.
Until we meet again, everyone. Bye-bye.